Let's see if we're live. Oh, there was my light. There we go. Hopefully that's working. There we go. Whoops. Hopefully that's working. There we go. Turn off the sound so we don't have a funny looking echo. There we go. All right, guys, welcome to the studio. It is week 3 of December. We're going to talk about everything these kids are learning in classes. Look, I'm festive today in my slideshow. We're going to actually turn off the green screen a couple times in order to show artwork that has green in it. Before we get started, let me tell you, everybody has class this week. So if you are taking weekly classes, you have class this week. When we get to housekeeping, we're going to talk about next week because that's when things get funny. All right, here we go. Preschool fundamentals have been working on their projects, and I totally should have brought some. Oh, they're in the back closet. Oh well. So they're working on a snowy evergreen landscape, very abstract, super fun project that uses both watercolor paper, collage techniques, and then this week we're going to add some painting techniques to it. So we'll finish those up this week. Last week we read Mistletoe, and we did the cutting and the collaging part of that. This week, we're going to be reading The Snowy Day. We're going to make some really great snow paint, which is a combination of white school glue and shaving cream. Makes a puffy paint that actually dries puffy. It's so cool. We'll try to get lots of pictures for you. But we'll apply that to our pictures. We're also going to use some sparkles and some glitter and some sequins and different things to decorate our trees. And then we'll get those in a mat and sent home. The other fun project we have planned for these guys is our ornament smorgasbord. So we've got pretty large, giant plastic fillable ornaments. Each kiddo will get one and get to fill it with all sorts of different treasures and make an ornament to take home. So lots of great stuff to wrap up our year. This will be the last class of 2024 for our preschool artists. So hopefully you're signed up for 2025. Here we go. K through 3rd grade classes. I brought some stuff. I've been doing some watercolors. Last week was week 2, and it was when we did the step. This is the one where we're actually getting the project done. Remember, in week 1, we went through techniques, we looked at art, we talked about the project, we did some brainstorming, we played with the media, but this time we actually got started on the project. So last week they painted 2 parts. They painted the snail bodies and they painted the snail shells. 2 different shapes. We're going to end up collaging those together. This artist here, look at all those great snail shapes. You guys, this is amazing brush control. To be able to get these little itty bitty lines, you had to stand that brush up teeny, tiny, because the more pressure you put on it, the fatter the brush becomes, right? Unlike a pencil. So really great stuff going on in here. They used wet on wet techniques, meaning they painted just a water snail shape and then dropped color in. They also used a lot of gold. Can you see how that shimmers? Here's an example of some of the shells. Kind of a rainbow shape or a semicircle shape. There's another one. I tried to pick ones, you guys, that don't have a lot of green in it, so I didn't have to turn off the green screen for this. Look at those. Aren't those fun? So this week, when they come to class, what we're going to do is we're going to cut these out. Work on those scissor skills. Cut them out. We're going to cut out both pieces. Now, these do not go together. This is not from the same artist, but we're going to cut out both pieces, and then we're going to collage them together so that you have a snail. How fun is that? And they can mix and match if they're like, oh, this shell works, or hang on, this shell works really well with, say, this snail. And then they can flip back and forth or mix and match or do whatever. We'll pick our favorite ones and get them collaged into a frame. That's the plan. All of our K through 3rd grade artists should take their artwork home this week. So if you've made it to all your classes and you're on track to finish, the goal is that it goes home with you this week. If your kiddo leaves class and they're not done with their project, they don't have anything in their hands, ask them what needs to happen, because they should know. Their teacher will talk to them. Okay. I mean, technically we still have 1 more class session, but it's kind of a funny one. So we're trying to get it done before Christmas. All right, our 4th and 5th grade artists also did all their painting last week. Remember, first week we did all the look at the slideshows, look at artist inspirations, look at brainstorm our subject matters, practice with the medium, practice the techniques, identify areas that are going to be troublesome. This week, in week 2 was when we did all of the work. This is when we started the project. So I've got some papers here. Just like our K-3rds, Our 4th and 5th graders and our homeschoolers are working in 2 parts. They're going to have a vase and they're going to have flowers, but rather than painting a vase with flowers, we're going to do everything separate and collage it together. And that just kind of keeps our watercolors in bounds because watercolors like to go out of bounds. So they painted both flowers and they painted kind of a pattern sheet for vases. And so I'm going to show you what some of these look like. So this is an example of a flower page from one of our artists, and they didn't have to worry about composition, right? Because this is going to get cut out and this is going to get cut out and this is going to get cut out. And then they're going to get collaged back together. So it was nice to just be able to paint and not worry about composition. Another nice thing about it is if you painted 4 flowers that look great and then you painted one, they were like, oh, I don't like the way that one turned out. It doesn't matter because they just don't use that one. It's fine. If we're painting it all in one composition, you know, that one flower might really bug you because it's just stuck there. So here's another great example of some flowers that are happening. One more. This one has a lot of green in it, hopefully. This person did a really great job of getting their paints very saturated with pigment. Watercolors, the more water you add, the washier they are, the lighter they are, the more paper shows through. So they end up very pastel-y, which is great. But sometimes you want a really rich color, and in order to do that, you got to get more pigment into your water. With a dry watercolor cake like we're using, that means you got to use a little bit more friction. You got to work with your paints a little bit more. It takes a little more patience. And so it was really great for them to get those beautiful saturated rich colors. Then they painted, so for the second step, they painted a paper that they can then cut up and use for a vase. And so they used wet on wet techniques. This was one I pulled because it wasn't green. And so that way you could see it. So you could see it covered their whole paper with water and then dropped in. This will then get cut out into a vase shape. Here's another great example. And one more. Okay. Now, they will have the option, especially with the vases, of adding more paint to this after they get it cut out. If they want to glaze on a shadow, if they want to glaze on some details. Glazing is a technique that uses a translucent watercolor wash. So it's going to be able to be see-through, not super concentrated, and a dry brush, which is kind of counterintuitive in watercolors. By dry, we mean it's just not overloaded. It's going to put down a sheer coat of watercolor paint that dries super fast because it's not overloaded. It's not putting down a big puddle. So we're going to put down a glaze. It's also not going to disturb the layers that are already there. So we learned glazing techniques in week 1. They will have the option of using them this week when they cut all these things apart and collage them all together. If they want to add more dimension and detail and depth, they will use glazing techniques for that. That's optional for them. So that is our 4th and 5th grade and our homeschool classes. They will also finish their project. The goal is that they finish their project this week and it goes home with them. Again, we still have one more session, but we already know we're gonna have tons of absences. So we're gonna try to get them done. And that way we can just have stations and fun stuff in the 4th week. 6th, 7th, and 8th through 12th. So they are making snowman trading cards. So these little character trading cards you can see in the picture right here, all these kiddos working on their little trading cards. They had to get them all taped down since even though it's a small card and they're going edge to edge, it'll do some funny like buckling things. And so they're completely taped down with a border, and they painted their backgrounds and started glazing in details on their little snowman shapes. This is really hard, you guys. They're the only group that didn't have like multiple parts that then they could collage together, right? So they had to wait for things to dry. They had to be careful touching wet stuff because then it bleeds together. Like this is tricky stuff, and they've done a really nice job of it. It's also a challenge in using the paper as the white, right? Because all the white you see is paper showing through. It's not white paint. And so anything they want to add to their snowman, like in terms of shadows and things, needs to be light enough that it still looks like snow, right? So we got some really great stuff happening here. All of them are so different. I love the dimension that we have, like the form that you see in the snow. That's really a testament to their understanding of how to make things look 3D. One more. Aren't those great? So they're gonna finish up this week. They're gonna add their details using even more glazes and teeny tiny brushes, which are tricky with watercolors because you're basically drawing with a brush. To add like little stick arms and eyes, nose, buttons, whatever you're gonna add. So they'll get all of those finished up. We'll get them taken off the board, taken apart, and they'll have a little collection of trading cards to go home with them. With this group especially, we were really happy with like their timetable. They're gonna have no problem getting finished this coming week. They really did a great job. All right, Creative Explorations. This is your last class of the year this week, whether you come to the Wednesday class in Platte Woods or you're in the Friday classes in Liberty. This is it for 2024. We'll do those stations that we've been doing. Super popular has been the cloud dough, the cookie decorating, which Platte Woods has had. We've had Play-Doh cookie dough here in Liberty, but then Platte Woods, I know, has been doing the cardboard cutouts that are in cookie shape and then frosting them with that snow paint or that frosting paint that we talked about in the preschool lessons. With the shaving cream has been super popular. A lot of the sensory stuff and watercolors have also been fun. I know in Liberty, I subbed Friday's class and we got out the salt and practiced making those little snowman characters, which was really fun for the kiddos, and they did a great job with those. My drawing classes, now I have a pile of stuff, so I'm gonna reach down here and grab it. Oops, dropped the pile of stuff. Fortunately, it's not anything breakable. It's not clay month. We'll be good. All right, here we go. Drawing 101, you can see this picture here. We had an evergreen still life. Both studios had natural evergreen boughs with a little bit of holly berries mixed in. And the kids got to draw what they see, right? And so they picked their spot in the room, right? They looked at their composition. We used our viewfinders, whether that's our fingers or we also have laminated viewfinders. A lot of them just really like to use their fingers to kind of see. But then they drew what they saw. Now I brought some examples from the 101 class now, and I wanted to show you kind of the wide range, right? So in 101, we have everybody from new kindergartners on up to like third grade. And most of our third graders, actually 2 of them in my class on Tuesdays, 2 of them are moving up to the next class. And so I wanted to kind of show you the progression that we have. Now, this isn't like, look how good we do, you know, they're better because of us, which, I mean, I like to think that, but honestly, they're better because they got older. They're better because they grew up. They're, you know, the kinders are not worse than the third graders. They're just right where they're supposed to be because they're 5. That's totally appropriate. So anyways, I wanted to kind of show you the growth that we see in these classes. So this one here, this is one of my young ones, and this is her still life. And what I love about it is that she's got some really great colors in here. When I go to talk to her about, like, tell me about your artwork. What do you see here? Tell me what's going on in this picture. She saw the glass jar that all of the greenery was in. You know, nothing is clean in my art studio. The jar has paint all over it. That's what the pink is. It's because there's paint all over the jar. And so she drew the painted jar. How fun is that, right? And then we've got a little bit of greenery up here, but a lot of it is focused on what she saw with the jar. And I think that is so cool. She's also got back here in the background a sun, which is fun. So, and then we get to some of my little bit older kiddos, right? And this is where there's a lot of green in these. And so I may have to turn off my green screen so you can see. And these are done in colored pencil. And this is one of my ones that is almost ready to move up or is moving up. I can't remember. Yeah. She also has the paint on the jar. I don't even think of it. I'm like, oh, there goes, I lost my light. I don't even think of it. I just, I'm blind to all the paint in this studio. This is another one of mine that is moving up to 102 next month. So lots of, all great in every stage, all great. 101 is that time when we're just exploring and we're using mediums and we're learning to think like an artist and loving it every step of the way. So lots of growth happens in 101 classes, and I think it's super fun. Now my 102s, I do want to show you 102. So 102s did the exact same thing in realistic, and then we'll talk about 102 illustrative because they did something different. But 102 realistic did the same still life. They come in right after it. I'm like, guess what you guys are doing? And so hang on, I'm going to flip the green screen off because you're not going to be able to appreciate this. Video settings, share screen, backgrounds and effects. I have a green screen. There's like a box that I check and I got to find it. Hang on, why can't I find it? Video filters. I think this wouldn't be that hard, right? Share screen? No. Screen is what I'm looking for. Oh, there it is. Boom. Okay, so I'm gonna turn that off so that way you can really see these guys. So, and then I gotta be careful because I've got my thing on there. But can you see like all the great colors that they have happening in there and detail? This is one of my 102 realistic kids. And the shadows and the layering in the colored pencil. Here's another really great one. I mean, this is an hour's worth of drawing, you guys. And nobody is lacking focus here. This is really how long it takes. In this leaf alone, there's probably 7 different pencils used. So this is really awesome. They're doing a great job. So that is my realistic. I'm going to go ahead and flip my green screen back on. Now that I know where it is, it shouldn't take me that long. You guys are so patient with me. Here we go. All right. Anyway, so there's a lot of growth that happens in this class too, because you don't start here. You start in the ones that I showed you before. You step into this class, and then this is what you're surrounded with, and then you step it up. And we get better and better and better as we grow older and older and older. So, and then my 102 illustrated, I'm going to talk about them really fast. I brought a couple of their books. Look at this. So they've been working on linear perspective, right? And trying to draw the interior of rooms. This is here. This is 2-point perspective with 2 different vanishing points. This is also 2-point perspective. And setting furniture inside the room. A lot of it on the first week was really about getting like things that are flat against the wall. So your pictures and your windows and your molding and your trim. And then we've slowly been adding things that kind of step away from the wall, like a table, coffee table, right? Or a couch. I'm going to get this one out so you can see it. I think hers is in her book. It's not loose. So here it is. This is 1-point perspective. We've started to set our things inside our rooms. Isn't that cool? All right. So they're going to have one more week of this, of continuing to add furnishings. We're going to get further and further away from those walls. It's trickier the further you go off the walls. And then they're going to also work on setting like characters in the space so that your proportions and your perspective are accurate. Oh, I should talk about 102 realistic and 101s really fast. Because I went over all that stuff that they did last week, but I didn't tell you what they were doing this week. So 102 advanced realistic this week is going to be doing a perspective lesson too. We're going to draw from our imagination, and we're going to draw a stack of presents. So think boxes, not like organically shaped presents, boxes. And we're going to stack them up, which is also a perspective lesson. My 101s, going back to them, they are going to be doing a holiday light drawing using chalk pastels on black paper and some masks. So we'll get to make them glowing. It'll be fun. All right, 103 drawings. I also brought a couple here, so let me organize myself. Whoops. Knock into my camera. All right, So 103 Illustrative have been doing these 3-panel drawings, you guys, that show the passage of time and interaction between characters, and they are phenomenal. I love looking at their in-progress work. I know we mat these and frame them, but one of my favorite parts, you guys, is everything that they do in the margins to like keep themselves on track or test things. I dig like a work in progress. They're kind of a behind the scenes. And so when you see like marks in the margins, that's usually them practicing something or a teacher demonstrating something before they get into their final. So a lot of them have pencil sketches done and inking started. Some of them will ink this week. Not all of them will do color this month. If they know they're not going to be here for the 4th class, they might stay just black and white, which is totally fine for this month. And then there's the people that are like done. Everybody works at a different pace. But look at all these great colors down here and testing things and layering things. A lot of them also keep, because like from week to week, you got to find the same marker color, and we have hundreds of markers. They'll keep like a log of the number, the code that's on the marker so they can find it again. Sometimes it's just easier not to start a color if you know you're not going to finish it. All right, and then my 103 realistics have been doing staircases, and so this is an exercise in linear perspective. Right now, I think it looks like I went through the books. Most of them are still in the pencil sketch stage. So we're going to try to get these inked this month or this week. And then they will be done this week. So our goal for these guys is that they finish this week. I love this. Look at that. We had Escher as our example. Those are great. So we'll try to get those inked. And then we're going to go over a value lesson this week so that they can add, you noticed a lot of them had shading in pencil. We'll see if we can get them to shade in ink. I don't know. It's always a struggle with the realistic people. They're like, All right, housekeeping. I'm gonna fix my camera here. Maybe not. All right, so housekeeping stuff as a reminder, like this is the last regular week for everybody. Our creative explorations and our preschool classes are done after this week. Our drawing and our multimedia students, this is week 3. So that means that you still have like one more class that we owe you. We're gonna do that in the form of an open studio. So this is your last regular class, like normal time, come like you're registered, like you've been doing for the entire semester. And then on the 27th and the 30th, we're going to do open studios. So it's very similar to what we did for the Thanksgiving week, where you're signing up for a different time period. Pick what works for your schedule and come in and see us. It is a pajama theme. It's an art and PJs theme. Everything that we have in the studio on those days will be washable because we know you're wearing your cute PJs and we don't want to ruin anything. So we'll keep washable stuff out. You can come and drink hot chocolate, make fun art, and just something to do over winter break, right? So there is a sign up for that, and I don't know if I have it on the next screen. Let's see. I do. Look at that. I made this slideshow last week. So it's right here. It's linked in the email. It's also in the private Facebook group. We kind of hold these pretty close to the vest since it's not open to everybody. It's only open to you guys. So you'll open up the link, it'll open up this PDF, and then you click this button or that button or that button to RSVP for your time. Okay. And it says a little bit about what we're going to do. Okay. If you have questions on that, let me know. All right. For anybody who is not re-enrolled for the next semester, which starts in January, as a reminder, nobody's automatically enrolled. If you haven't actively gone out and enrolled yourself for the next semester, then you are not enrolled. I've sent 2 reminders specifically to the people not enrolled in classes. And so if you got that and you're not coming back, I apologize for bugging you. If you got that and you're like, I just haven't gotten around to it, that's okay. But just to let you guys know, anyone who is not enrolled is going to get their sketchbooks sent home with them this week, because otherwise we end the year with 100 sketchbooks that we have to figure out how to get people. So there's a little note that's going to be attached to the sketchbook, and it's going to say, thanks so much for a great semester. You're not signed up yet, there's still time, but in case we don't see you, here's your book. All right. And if you go ahead and you sign up for classes, you just bring that book right back. Okie dokie. All right. All right, and then our last thing that I want to tell you is that our winter break classes are happening January 2nd and January 3rd. And so if you haven't already looked at those, please go take a look at them. We've got some fun things happening. Registration is going to close probably right around Christmas because I need to buy t-shirts for those classes. There's two classes that are t-shirt classes. There's an intro to screen printing, and there's a Shibori one. And both of those use shirts. And I want to make sure that I get you the right size shirt. So I'm going to close the registration and then contact everyone who's registered and then go buy you the shirt size that you want. So anyways, that's that. I might leave the other ones open, but the shirt ones for sure I'm going to have to close so I can go buy shirts. Is there anything else I need to tell you? I don't think so. All right. Hopefully all that makes sense. If anyone has questions about the holiday schedule, the next semester registration, or the winter break camps, give me a holler. Otherwise, I will have to talk to you guys next week, I guess. I will make a video on the Monday, next Monday, just like normal, but it'll be much, much shorter just because there won't be as much to talk about. But it'll be a nice reminder to everybody to not come to regular classes, I guess. So you'll still get a video from me next week, and then I'll take a week off at the New Year's probably, and then you'll see me again the January 5th or 6th. Is it 6th? I think the Monday is on the 6th. So yeah. All right, everybody, have a great last regular week before Christmas, and I will talk to you soon.